Chapter 1. The First Date. It was raining lightly that autumn afternoon, and the city of Gijón seemed to have been gripped by a deep melancholy. Ethan was walking slowly on the wet sidewalks, his thoughts lost in a poem he had recently read. His black umbrella, though solid, it was more a window between him and the leaden sky than a protection against the rain. The drops trickled down the edge of the umbrella, forming small waterfalls that accompanied the subtle music of the humid city. Ethan was an introverted young man with a deep passion for literature and art. He was 28 years old, but his soul seemed much older, marked by a sensitivity that was rarely understood by others. The city where he lived offered him the perfect refuge for his contemplative nature. Cobbled streets, intimate coffee shops, and obscure bookstores were where he felt truly alive that day. The rain, along with the diffuse light of the street lamps, guided him to one of those places of refuge, an old café, hidden in a quiet corner of the city. The café, called the Amber Window, was known only to those who discovered it by chance or through whispered recommendations. It was an oasis of calm amidst the urban tumult, with exposed brick walls and candles on every table. The atmosphere was intimate, almost magical, and the smell of the coffee shop mixed with the subtle aromas of vanilla and cinnamon was a balm to the senses. Ethan walked in, gently shaking his umbrella in the doorway. A warm breeze along with the sounds of a muted piano immediately greeted him as his gaze searched for a place free. His eyes fell on a woman sitting at a table in the corner of the café, framed by large windows facing the street. Although he still knew her name, Ethan felt that this woman radiated something special, a special energy that set her apart from everyone else. She was wearing a simple but elegant black dress, and her long, dark brown hair was loosely pinned to her back. The lines of her face, delicate and melancholy, were accentuated by intense blue eyes, which seemed to absorb the surrounding light and transform it into a mysterious depth. On the table, in a graceful position, was a book with old, worn covers. Lily was reading intently as she sipped from a steaming cup of tea. Her thick, delicate fingers caressed the pages with a gentleness that betrayed a respect deep for words. Ethan didn't know what to do. Come closer? To admire from a distance? He chose the latter option, sitting down at a nearby table where he could discreetly observe the apparition. Time seemed to stand still for Ethan as he watched her. Lily was lost in her reading, but every now and then, she looked up at the window where the rain was drawing trembling streaks. Her every gesture, every subtle movement, was like a poem in motion. Ethan felt a strong desire to know her, to find out who is that woman who seemed to carry the whole universe in her eyes. After a few minutes of contemplation, the waiter approached Ethan's table to take his order. "A long café, please," he said, his gaze inevitably returning to Lily. The waiter smiled slightly, noticing Ethan's subtle interest. That moment, Lily looked up from her book and noticed Ethan. For a split second, their eyes met, and time seemed to be suspended.